All right, everyone, when we say that Joe Biden is nuts, it used to be a funny joke, and now it's a little more, well, it's not so much a joke, I guess, at this point. He was relating, I'm not exactly sure where he was at the time, stripped of context, so to speak. He was giving, I guess, a speech, and he was saying something about a pool that he was guarding at the time. And how a gang member named Corn Pop was standing on the fence or something, and he called him Esther, and that pissed the dude off, and I guess he got out a straight razor and was like threatening to sort of meet him after work at the parking lot. So Joe Biden, according to his recollection, was threatened by a bunch of gang members with rusty straight razors, and so he walked out of the swimming pool with a big chain. And then said, well, I'm not sorry for kicking you out, but I will apologize for calling you Esther. And then the gang members wandered off because they didn't want none of that, steely Biden response, I guess. I'm thinking, what does this have to do with politics? What does this have to do with anything? And because Biden's recollection is so poor, how the fuck do I know what parts of this aren't just as fancy? I guess sometimes what happens is he'll mix up multiple real events. Like he told some story about giving the Medal of Honor or something, a presidential medal of whatever, to a soldier, from Iraq or something, and how the dude didn't want it because his buddy had died or something. And it turned out he was mixing up three very real events interchangeably into something that never technically happened. And I'm thinking, what parts of this are true? Maybe one time Biden got into a fight with a gang member named Corn Pop. Another time he saw a group of dudes with straight razors milling around in the pool parking lot. And another time he had to kick someone off, I guess, the fence or whatever it is, the board at the pool. I don't know exactly, therefore, what actually happened here. And if I take it seriously, it's like, I'm not sure how this shows presidential material. I'm not sure exactly what qualifications it imparts to Joe Biden to have done his job and then, I don't know, apologize to some dude wielding a deadly weapon, for calling him a girl's name or something. It's just getting weird because this is now a regular occurrence. Like at the beginning of the race, it was, a few times he sort of did his gaffe thing. And everyone knew that would happen, and so it wasn't really a surprise. But as time has gone on, they've gotten worse and they've gotten more frequent. To the point where his entire speeches now are incoherent for the most part. This is really beginning to hamper him in the new polls, and this is pre-debate. Keep in mind, he did okay at the debate, but he wasn't very highly rated, especially against Elizabeth Warren, who really steals the show, even though Buttigieg did better. Buttigieg was the best at the debate overall, but Warren, because she's got more name recognition, she got rated higher. She's probably going to draw about even with Biden. If you look at the polls, they were already beginning to narrow. A couple of the polls showed, more or less a tie there. Biden definitely trailing his former numbers. He was riding at one time, he was almost at 35-40. Now he's like in the low 30s on a good day, closer to, generally speaking, the mid to maybe upper 20s. That's not a great place to be because it shows he may have already peaked. And if he already peaked and Warren is capable of rising at all, that could cause a big problem for Biden. It's not going to help him if he continues to perform like this. The problem is I can't think of any way in which Biden gets better because it's probably related to dementia. And if it's related to stress, like he's campaigning too much, he's not getting enough sleep, and that's why he's making mistakes, what alternative does he have? Warren's 5 years younger than he is. Some of his candidates are close to half his age. How the hell is he supposed to compete if he can't get enough sleep and go out and campaign and do what he needs to do? He's going to get buried anyway. Name recognition and all. The illusion of Biden and vulnerability is beginning to drip away. That's the only thing that could ever defeat Biden was Biden. Well, Biden is slowly grinding himself down with mistakes. Hearing about Corn Pop, okay, it's very, very funny to hear about this gangster who may or may not have even existed back in the 60s. He was a bad boy. He had grease in his hair, and he had a leather coat and biker jeans and shit. Oil slicks all over his knees, and he carried a straight razor and a straight razor comb with which he repeatedly combed his hair like the Fonz. That's it's very funny to hear Joe Biden's take on what a bad boy is. Say, oh, you mean like mid-60s Elvis Presley? Or very, very bad. Highly intimidating. Oh my God. Biden, I can imagine Biden back in that era, and he's like the kid who's wearing a suit at the time, and all these leather biker dudes with rusty straight razors are coming after him because he called one of them a name. This is what politics has become. And this is the Democratic frontrunner, too. Keep that in mind. This is the person running the Democratic Party, basically. I mean, right at the moment, he's the standard bearer who's actually running. Warren's kind of in it to win it. Other than that, though, there's not a whole lot going on. Kamala Harris has fallen off the face of the earth. Sanders, he didn't really do well enough. I don't know if he's going to keep making it. And then Buttigieg, like, they could give him a chance, but I think he's just too young and he refuses to make the fact that he's gay an issue. And that makes sense on a general stage, but you have to win the primaries to get to the general. And this has been a problem for political parties during paradigm shifts, where they have to move, someone has to move way to the side in order to win the primaries, and then they have to try to work their way back to normalcy and the center, so-called, in order to actually wage a general campaign. It's a little bit difficult. This is some crazy shit. Fucking Cornflake the gangster thing, or Corn Pop. I'm like, I don't understand what world this dude is living in. Like, he's in an alternate reality where it makes sense, relates to politics in some way. Like, sometimes he was meandering off, saying weird shit. Like, he started talking about going down into the basement, and then he sort of muttered and, like, skipped, I guess, an entire sentence, and I'm not exactly sure. He went down in the basement where only the white people were, is kind of what I got out of it, which is really funny. Is this talking about a bunch of black gang members that jumped him? Is this, like, marching off into racial diatribe land? I don't even know. Because his speaking skills have devolved to that demented level. It's like, late early stage dementia where it's beginning to impact his actual cognitive ability enough so that I don't even know exactly what he's trying to relate some of the times. The idea that between 25 and maybe 40% of Democrats find this to be an appropriate individual to put in the White House. They have faith in him. Their hardened support base is probably around 20. The fact that maybe a fifth or even a quarter of Democrats form a hardened core of support that, even though he's clearly demented, support him is honestly a little bit on the frightening side. Just a little bit. Slightly frightening. That's about all. Peace out.